This is Optimal Living Daily, episode 480, the Zen Valedictorian, a radical new model for getting the most out of college, by Cal Newport of calnewport.com, and I'm Justin Malik. Happy Tuesday and welcome back to Optimal Living Daily. This is where I read to you from popular blogs to help you optimize your life, and that's every day, all free of course. And today's post from Cal Newport is targeted towards college students, but definitely applies to everyone, so don't let that fool you. And before we get into it, FreshBooks has been kind enough to help keep this podcast alive and well. I would not be where I am today without them. And it's tax season right now here in the US, so you should definitely be thinking about them. FreshBooks cloud accounting software helps freelancers and small business owners master their admin and paperwork to make filing taxes super easy. Try it out for 30 days totally for free. Just come by freshbooks.com/living. And with that, let's hear today's post as we optimize your life. The Zen Valedictorian, a radical new model for getting the most out of college, by Cal Newport of calnewport.com. The 4 types of students. At the risk of being reductive, I argue that we can plot all possible types of college students on 2 spectra. The first spans from totally relaxed to totally stressed. The second spans from boring to really impressive. In a figure presented on this post, I present these 2 spectra as the axes of a 2-dimensional plot. 4 quadrants are exposed. For each quadrant, I added a description of the type of student who goes through college with the identified combination of traits. 3 of these types should be familiar. The grind, impressive, and stressed. This type of student is overloaded with activities and supercharged course loads and triple majors and would die before accepting a B. Some are driven by parental pressure, some by ambition. Their student life is demanding. Many burn out. But those with the constitution to stick it out end up with impressive post-grad opportunities. The failed grind. Boring and stressed. Not every grind wannabe can keep up with this load. There is an art to pushing yourself to the limit without breaking down. Many push a little too hard in the wrong places and end up with erratic grades, a confusing mash of dropped activities and failed schemes, and a nice big bloody ulcer. The failed grind often feels despair or depression. Their health flags. They hate school. Everything you don't want. The slacker. Boring and relaxed. An alternate to the high stress end of the spectrum is to just say screw this and focus on winning your house's next pong tourney. It might be hard to find a job after you graduate, but hey, life's too short for such a loser talk. Let's go drink some more terrible beer. These 3 student types are well known. What makes the quadrant diagram interesting, however, is that it exposes a 4th region, one that is both relaxed and impressive. We are not used to considering this combination of traits. Indeed, many students have a sort of inborn blindness to its possibility. When they look at this diagram, they look past the upper left corner as if it doesn't exist. It's simply not a possibility. Conventional wisdom says you have to choose between being a grind and a slacker, and that's that. But why must we ignore the upper left? Most students, if pressed, will give the following explanation. To be impressive requires that you do a lot of hard things. This is stressful. Well, let's push farther. How do you know that's true? Again, when pressed, most students will admit that this seemingly ironclad dictate is, in reality, formed from intermittent anecdotal feedback and conventional wisdom. Weak support. I am officially putting this fear-based, blinded reasoning on notice. No more. It's time to move beyond the dialectic of the grind and the slacker and to embrace the possibility of the upper left quadrant. It's time for the Zen Valedictorian. I call the type of student who lives in the promised land of relaxed impressiveness the Zen Valedictorian. This idea is not new to Study Hacks readers. I have been posting for weeks about many of the ideas supporting this philosophy. But I thought it was time to give the concept a formal name. I summarize this philosophy as follows. If you understand your interests and values, the psychology of impressiveness, and how to be productive and study efficiently, then you can construct a student lifestyle that is relaxed and free of chronic stress, intellectually engaging, wildly social and exciting, and just as impressive as if you had followed the path of the grind. We can sum this all up in the following pithy motto: do less, live more, get ahead. How does this work? I've been seeking answers to these questions for years. My conclusion? Adopting the Zen Valedictorian lifestyle is not trivial. It requires strong will and great self-awareness. But it is, I assure you, worth it. We will continue to explore its nuances in the upcoming months. You just listened to the post titled The Zen Valedictorian, a Radical New Model for Getting the Most Out of College by Cal Newport of calnewport.com. And of course, he does have a follow-up post where he talks about how to become that Zen Valedictorian, and I'm going to read that to you tomorrow. And once again, I want to thank FreshBooks for helping to keep this podcast alive. It is tax season here, and for me, tax season is kind of fun. Well, I don't like paying taxes, but putting the tax info together is really easy because I use FreshBooks. If you're a small business owner or freelancer or want to track all of your expenses, I highly recommend trying them out, especially if you struggle with tax season. They've just launched an all-new, really simple-to-use software to help you get a handle on your paperwork. All of your cash flow details are in one place. Their mobile app lets you take pictures of your receipts and organizes them for later. And you'll be way more prepared and less stressed next year when tax season rolls around. It's so easy to use, you have to trust me on that. Tax season doesn't have to be a headache. Just come by freshbooks.com/living to try FreshBooks out for free for 30 days. No credit card required or any kind of payment info. So again, just come by freshbooks.com/living and enter Optimal Living Daily in the How Did You Hear About Us section. And I hope you're having a great week so far, and I will see you tomorrow with more about the Zen Valedictorian and where your optimal life awaits.
Hey, this is Dan from the Optimal Finance Daily podcast, which is a lot like this show, except more focused on personal finance. Justin handpicks the best posts he can find from blogs and authors like Ramit Sethi, Mr. Money Mustache, and more, and I read them to you 5 days a week. So if you enjoy this podcast, come on over and subscribe to Optimal Finance Daily too. And together, we'll optimize your financial life.
You've been listening to Optimal Living Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.